Hi there. Thanks for joining me this week. My name is Kevin Lancaster, CEO of Channel Program. This week I will be joined by Cory Brown, CEO of Simplesat. Really excited about this. If you don't know Simplesat, their focus is on asking the right questions at the right time to get those opinions that you need. It was launched in 2016 as an offshoot of Pronto Marketing. Simplesat is a complete customer satisfaction solution for small and medium-sized MSPs and technology companies, business owners, operation directors, service managers around the world use Simplesat to collect, measure, and publish feedback from their customers. So, because we have a platform that does quite a bit in the kind of review space and feedback space, I thought this would be a phenomenal conversation to have. And with that, we'll jump right into it. I'll bring Cory up onto the screen. There we are, just like magic. There he is.
Hello.
How are you? I know. So you're it's late into the evening for you,
It
where you
is.
are. Why
Yep.
don't you indulge us?
So I'm in Bangkok, Thailand. It's 10 p.m. here. But this is normal. This is when we connect with the US and North America. So happy to be here, wide awake.
Awesome. You said I guess it's pretty common to do webinars 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Maybe even midnight. I guess to covers the global time zones that you guys operate.
Yep. Yeah, we have so quite a few staff in the Philippines that work overnight shifts, so they can handle some of those for the 2 or the 3 a.m. webinars that maybe a little bit too late for me. But yeah, 10 or 11, no problem.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, as I mentioned, kind of kicking this thing off. I mean, the topic I think is pretty close to home with what we're doing, and it's obviously extremely important for the channel and kind of their engagement, interactivity, feedback with their customers. But before we kind of dive into the platform and what you guys are doing, let's kind of hear about this journey. Kind of we were kind of talking a little bit backstage about how you ended up over in Thailand, but take us
Mhm.
back early days. What was more early days like for Cory?
Yeah, so the earlier days, as I was just telling you backstage, I was living in Seattle from the US originally. And my dad was working for Microsoft, Derek Brown, and working for Microsoft in Thailand. And he wanted to leave Microsoft, but fell in love with Thailand, wanted to start a business in Thailand. I didn't like my job at the time. So we suggested, why don't you just come over and try to start this with me? And that turned out to be Pronto Marketing. So we did that. Pronto's still alive and thriving. But that was, I don't know, maybe 15 or so years ago. So yeah, did Pronto, and that's how I basically learned the ropes. Dad is my mentor. Got my MBA just reading all the books. Jumped around Pronto in every position. I managed our sales and support teams, managed head of marketing for a while, and then ended up at the end managing our R&D team. And actually, like, kind of step back, when I was managing our support teams, I really wanted to. I've always had a big focus on customer service, love service. We were using Zendesk. Pronto still uses Zendesk. Their native CSAT tool, we were never happy with it. It's just binary, good or bad. Almost all of our feedback was good. Our CSAT score was 99%, which is great to brag about, but I knew that we were far from perfect, So how could we? I just wanted more feedback. I wanted better feedback for us to improve. And we tried different things, hacking the Zendesk things, saying like, if we were not absolutely perfect, click bad, or stuff like that. But so that's from there, it was kind of in my mind that there's got to be a better way to get better feedback. And then when I was managing our R&D team, we actually had a really big team, almost 20 people at some point, 20 developers, and working on just the Pronto platform. We had this kind of customer management, client management platform, also managing WordPress websites and themes and plugins and stuff. But I saw a lot more potential in the dev team, because devs, they're the ones that can create so much value out of almost nothing. So I had all these developers, and it's like, well, why don't we create a SaaS business? And I finally got to put that in motion, and always had this idea about a customer feedback management platform. So yeah, that's really how it started. And we've just basically been mooching off of Pronto for maybe 5 years. And finally we're growing up. Maybe we're like teenagers now, but we're profitable and be able to take care of ourselves now. But that's kind of the backstory of why I'm here now. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's maybe they're just incubating you. No, I think
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
really interesting. The last couple of companies that I built, they were incubated within. So the ideation was incubated within a consulting firm. Similarly, it was kind of Rob and Paul to pay Peter, and shared resources until we had something that worked,
Yep.
and spun it out and got it off the ground, and done that a couple times. So I know that model, and it works. I think, especially in this MSP space, there's so many MSP operators that that come across a business challenge, within an organization, and then they kind of set off, to kind of solve that challenge. And 3 years later, like, yeah, maybe I can commercialize this and sell this. So I think that's a pretty common theme in this space, whether it's
Yep.
coming from marketing or coming from a traditional MSP. So you thought, I mean, going into your dad said, hey, why don't you come out here and hang out? Did you think it was going to be kind of a temporary stint, and then?
Oh, absolutely. I think he was even thinking too, because I studied music in college, so in my resume didn't look too great trying to do anything other than music. So I think he was thinking of it as, let's just like a resume builder and a kind of a internship sort of thing. I told myself and people it'll just be 2 years, go to Thailand, get some experience, come back. But yeah, 15 years later.
So what was the, I guess, was it music theory? Was it a specific instrument that you'd?
Yeah, it was theory and composition with an emphasis in piano.
Oh, wow. So that's one thing that I've always been envious of individuals. And so I've been trying to learn how to play the guitar for the last 25 years. My kids will tell you that I'm still awful, but I don't know, it's almost like looking at like this kind of left brain, right brain. Probably some of the more interesting individuals and talented developers and business owners have that knack for music, right? The complexity of music, particularly something like piano, even like guitar, but just how you have to have your brain has to be wired. That's something I'm always envious of. I mean, does it all resonate? I mean, is there any parallels between? Do you feel like you got more brain power because you're a musician?
Yeah, I don't know about brain power, but I think I look back at the piano lessons in college and stuff, and you think it's once I realized I didn't want to do music professionally, you realize, oh, I have all these worthless skills and people are making fun of you. Why do you study music and stuff? But I don't know, the older I get, I think it's a super valuable skill to have, and the experience that I had studying it, same thing as studying philosophy or history or something, totally just opens your new perspectives, thinking creatively. And one thing people don't talk a lot about musicians is just it's work, it's practice and focus, So I think you can bring that into your work life in ways of just like really, really focusing on something and perfecting something. So I do think I took away a lot from that experience and have a great hobby now.
There you go. Maybe it's a discipline and the mastery, to your point. Because I'm sure you'll go to a college without having some proficiency or level of mastery. And it's something that's that in languages. I never, I've learned enough. Maybe I learned the bad words and how to count to 10 in maybe 5 or 6 different languages, but I could never crack the code. I mean, I tried for years.
It's really difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for indulging me in that, because it's I don't know. I'm always fascinated by musicians and just how they process, and I think there's so many parallels between that and the strategy, the psychology behind building a business, and then certainly when it comes to development. I mean, I think coding and that is like playing an instrument, like learning how to read music or another language. So it's always I don't know, I'm always envious of those that are
Well, don't stop with that
better
guitar.
than me. I brought it. I'm up in New Jersey here for the balance of the
Yeah.
week, and I brought it up just to test the patience of my kids. So
Okay.
yeah, I think from that perspective, I'll keep playing because I get a
For
good
the kids.
response out of it. Not necessarily a positive response, but it's a good response nevertheless. But cool. So what's with Pronto, right? Pronto marketing. I guess what
Mm-hmm.
was the scope of services in kind of the breadth of services that Pronto provided?
Mm-hmm. So Pronto started out and still really is mostly website management for MSPs. And we focused on MSPs because my dad, Derek, worked as in charge of the marketing for Thailand. Before that, working with the what's the name? Working with the channel partners at Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
So he had this relationship with all these channel partners and always ran into them. They say, "How do I grow my business? How do I do all this stuff?" And he told them what to do. And then they would come back a month or 6 months later and be like, "Yeah, I never had the time to do that." So that's kind of how it clicked with him, where it's like, we need to do it for them. We can't, it's not enough to say you need to build a website and send out a newsletter, because they're not going to do it on their own. So the idea was all about execution, doing it for you. And it was a relatively new model at the time, where we had a flat monthly fee with unlimited service. And it was even really crazy when we started. You didn't even pay until you go live. So we would build the whole website for how long it takes, 2 weeks, 8 weeks, and you wouldn't start paying until you go live. And
Wow.
looking back, that was pretty crazy, but it's an unbelievable offer. You got to do that if you want to start a new business. So
I
so
mean,
Pronto did
that's
that.
really.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's just that's absorbing a lot of the risk up front, right? And getting to the point where you really have to deliver at that point, right? And then once you go live, that's when you start to get paid, and that's to your point, like that's sometimes you have to be different, that different when you're launching to gain traction.
Right.
Yeah, that's an interesting model.
And I think that now that I'm just talking, I think that might be what really got me into service, because you have to have, I mean, in the beginning, it was just all on me. My dad was doing sales. I was the one communicating with customers. So if you don't give just the absolute best service, and, I worked 8 weeks to get this website going, and they go, "Yeah, you know what, never mind, I don't like it," or something. You can be frustrated, but what do I need to do better next time to make sure that they don't, cancel or whatever? So kind of, it forced us just to be obsessed with service, I guess. I think Kevin's having an internet problem at the moment. We'll see if he can rejoin here. Before the podcast, Kevin said he was working remotely, trying to keep the kids out of the background. Internet might be spotty. So maybe he's moving to a different location, changing to his phone or something like that.
That's embarrassing. Sorry about that.
No problem. Welcome back.
Yeah, no, thanks for holding down the fort. Mentioned
Did my best.
Yeah, no, I'm going to put you on the spot there. So sorry about that. Yeah, so go ahead. I don't even know where we left off. scrambling your.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying, they had this model, don't pay until you go live, and I think that
Yeah,
kind of forced us to become service obsessed, service
yeah,
focused. Um, so focusing on websites for MSPs, and then naturally, if we have happy clients, they're happy with the website services we're doing, happy with the newsletter, then they want us to do more, right? How about the SEO? How about AdWords? How about more marketing strategies? So kind of over time, just naturally, Pronto has been layering more services into their portfolio, um, and servicing all different types of industries now, but still MSPs are the bread and butter.
yeah. So it's interesting that, the last 15 years, obviously marketing in, just whether it's online, if it's email, SEO, whatever, that has evolved so dramatically. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it seems
Yep.
like the evolution just accelerates year over year. I remember early days, I was, a couple companies ago, I'd get in there and try to, figure out the keywords and all the SEO, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'd go up and put a new page on the site, and then people come in the next day and realize that I'd spelled half the words wrong, and I wasn't really one for the
Yeah.
grammatics, I guess, grammatically strong, or whatever. But um, and then as I've built a couple of these companies, I've realized that I have to hire smarter, and whether it's internally or outsource resources. But it's incredible, like just how fast this has evolved, and so you
Mm-hmm.
see kind of this evolution of Pronto, because I've been familiar with Pronto, and great work that they do there. But then you get to this point where you're reaching into the customers. So you're starting in the front end and helping MSPs kind of gain visibility. Create their their front page. Put a good foot forward, and be found and convert and stuff like that. But then, this next, the Simplesat is really sounds like it's a natural evolution. Working with the MSP, because it's all right. Now you got customers. Now you really got to get deeper and build better relationships, get better feedback from your
Mm-hmm.
customers to keep it going, because obviously it's more cost effective to keep a customer and grow and
Yep.
upsell versus versus the cost of acquiring. So it seems like that was
Exactly.
a natural evolution.
Yeah, I think so. People always say connect the dots backward, but yeah. So when you say it like that, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I can connect some dots, what have you. So take me through, I guess what you learned, like kind of the lessons learned, and so you had this great kind of opportunity to learn the ropes and all different facets of business, with Pronto, and then was there something that's been different, or what's been maybe the more one of the more difficult, I guess, challenges in spinning out Simplesat
Mm-hmm.
and growing that?
Yeah, good question. I think one thing that's definitely been difficult is I'm mostly doing this on my own as sole founder. So
Mhm.
I really enjoyed having my dad as a co-founder at Pronto. I'm more of the behind the scenes introvert, and he's not a crazy extrovert, but he can get out there, he can give great speeches, he can talk to people. So I really enjoyed that dynamic where I could just be like, all right, here's what you're going to say today, or I think we should do this. But he always had the final say if he's CEO, but we're always a good team. So it has been a difficult new challenge for me doing Simplesat on my own, having to get out there more, having to be more of the frontline leader, but always good challenges. I really enjoy it, and still a lot to learn. So.
Yeah. So let's get into the Simplesat. Let's kind
Mhm.
of understand what the goals are and what the value proposition is, and let's kind of get
Mhm.
into what you're trying to solve with Simplesat.
So Simplesat, so we're at the category, it's called customer feedback management. And our focus really is on helping businesses collect feedback and understand and ultimately improve with that feedback. So there's some other stuff that Simplesat does, like we have testimonial widgets where you can put feedback on your website in real time from positive feedback. And we have these CTA buttons that you can get Google reviews after a positive feedback. And there are other companies that focus even more on getting reviews or something like that. But Simplesat, really our focus is for service teams who truly want to improve their feedback. So that's really our focus. Our focus is not about getting you more leads. It's not about getting more reviews. And of course, I hope that we can help with that and stuff. But really, it's this core thing. So we're not the only ones in this space. There's even more than when we started in 2016. But when I, at that time, looked around the landscape, there was really a lot of kind of, I don't know, generic or boring or just kind of ugly surveys out there. And maybe this is going back to the music experience. I wanted to be creative. You know, if I would want to do something, I wanted to be fun, or I wanted to be different, or I wanted to be cool, or inspire people, or make people laugh, or whatever. So I was actually, have you heard of this tool called Office Vibe? It's an employee engagement software. It's really good. So it's only just for internal employee surveys and stuff. But Pronto was using that for a while, and that's how I got kind of the idea for the fun surveys, because theirs are super fun and kind of animated a little bit when you move the slider. So kind of, you know, I had this thing in my mind about I want to find a way that businesses can actually improve their service and get real feedback, and also make it fun and interesting. So I had this kind of idea from Office Vibe. But yeah, that's really our core is focusing on getting feedback and understanding it. And there is so much that we've done already, and there's so much that we need to do to still make that happen. You know, different delivery methods. You can send an email, you can embed it in a ticket, you can have a QR code. Just this week released web embed surveys where you can embed it directly on your website or your app. And you know, we have kind of our core product vision, but it's mostly driven by feedback at this point. You know, we gather everything and prioritize it, and just, you know, whatever we can do to make our customers happier. And you know, every week we're losing a lead because we don't have some type of feature or whatever. So all of that is just in our minds and in our product board, which we use to categorize feedback. And yeah, just working on building up the platform.
Yeah, I can certainly relate. I mean, at the number of sleepless nights, I think on our development board, we've got 252 items that have a level of prioritization. And as I look at the board, I'm like, damn, I want all 252 done by tomorrow. But unfortunately, that's not how development works.
Yeah.
You know, and gotta be smart about it. So take me through, I guess, a scenario like where an MSP is using the tool, and how are they able to action the feedback, right? Because it's one thing to, you know, send a survey out or whatever mechanism, and then get some responses. But how do you effectively action, you know, the data that you're getting back from your customers?
Yeah. So I mean, everyone's doing different things, but one thing that I really recommend everyone do, we have integrations with Slack and Microsoft Teams, and sending feedback to those channels. You could send it to any channel. You could have, you know, some MSPs do like a wins channel, you know, only positive feedback to celebrate it. Some of them have sending just the negative or neutral feedback to a manager group or something like that. But I think that's super important, because that provides transparency. Potentially, like at Simplesat, we send feedback to our team channel, our main one. Transparency, but for larger companies, it could be, you know, just the service team or managers or something like that. So I would recommend that to everyone. We have integrations with all the top PSAs and other help desks where we sync with tickets. So after feedback is collected, then we update the ticket with an internal note. We can add tags. We can update custom fields with the rating details and stuff. And we can also create tickets in that system. So you could create a ticket to follow up with something like that. So I've found that really works, where if you have negative feedback come in, it goes into Slack, but then the manager has to send an email to the customer or something. You're just adding more moving parts, and it's more likely to not get done or slip through the cracks or something like that. So we're really big on integrations and really trying to help. You know, you don't have to live in Simplesat. You actually don't even have to go into Simplesat a lot. Once you have everything up and running, because the feedback's going to Slack, it's going to your email, it's syncing with your tickets in ConnectWise or Autotask or Synchro or whatever. And you can even create tickets. So then it queues it up. You could create a ticket and assign it to a specific person. So it's just right in your natural workflow, responding to customers. Yeah, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah. Cause, it's one thing to get feedback, but it's how do you action it? And the fact that you have decisioning, you have kind of the workflow, and you've got integrations that close that loop,
Right.
with the PSA, and then you can distribute that to certain groups within Slack or within Teams. I mean, that's pretty powerful, because I think that's been, you kind of mentioned there's been kind of for years, I guess it was there were Zendesk and maybe a couple other ones out there, and they were pretty vanilla, right? It was just like thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe had a forward feature or option or something like that. But there's been a rise, but I think one of the challenges is this kind of closed loop concept, and the fact that you've made this purpose built, and integrated it into MSP specific tools is huge. Right. I mean, I think that being kind of the core product and part of the core value proposition, the ethos is really different, because there's quite a few that you mentioned, right, that have kind of come into the space and they have to learn it. You spent years working with the MSPs, understanding their pain points, and building something purpose built for solving those problems. And so that's definitely unique, relative to the other ones that I've seen out there.
Yeah, and we integrate with a bunch of CRMs as well. Like some MSPs are just, you could use maybe ConnectWise for everything, but MSPs are using Pipedrive and Salesforce and HubSpot and stuff. So we also integrate with those. So you could send the latest rating to a custom field in HubSpot, or create an activity or something in HubSpot. So basically, I don't know, we're just listening to customers. What do you want? What's the ideal workflow? And then just trying to make that happen. Yeah.
It's almost like it's so powerful, like being kind of you're the almost kind of look at now as kind of being the hub, and the spoke is all the disparate systems that they're using, but the core is really engaging with the customer, the feedback, and then whether it's product roadmap suggestions, or just CSAT, or tell me how I'm doing. I mean, I think that's where most MSPs should aspire to be, right? Is to be at the point where they're being able to look at the data coming in and decisioning, in a very automated and effective way. And it seems like you guys have really you guys cracked the code on that.
Yeah, and there's so much. I mean, some of our clients are doing crazy things. Just this morning, I had an email from a client asking ConnectWise, like, could we use Simplesat for approvals, where it's something on a ticket and then there's a yes or no on the survey, just because they go, we love your survey. And we actually could make it work. It'd be kind of hacky. But what I was going to say, there's just so much that you could do, but the basics and what we really recommend, what everyone needs to be doing, is CSAT on tickets and some type of recurring email NPS, Net Promoter Score, because then you have your help desk covered. That every ticket has a chance to be rated. So if you have I've talked to MSP owners that said they talk to their clients, and a client's complaining or something, and they're like, did you leave feedback in the tickets? They're like, no. Like, well, you need to do that, so the ticket feedback has your service desk covered. The performance of your agents. It can help weed out bad agents, but of course motivate and empower great agents. And the email Net Promoter Score helps you email all clients, or you could email decision makers or whatever, but it helps you touch and get in contact with people who might not necessarily be in your help desk all the time creating tickets. And the question is slightly different. It's not how do we do on this transaction, basically, how do we do on this ticket? It's how likely are you to recommend us? So it kind of makes you think a little differently. And you might be you might love the company, but you're not likely to recommend because you don't like the price, or something else that has nothing to do with service. So getting those two things set up with your ticket CSAT and your email NPS is, I mean, to me now it seems like just like this, the most basic thing, but there's still so many businesses out there that are not doing that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think, yeah, I think it's an absolute travesty if they're not doing that, because to your point, if you have the ability to optimize service desk, and reward, recognize the ones that are, just knocking it out of the park, and then you can do, behavior correction as well. If you've got, consistently low scores, you're getting, getting a lot of the engagement, the suggestions, the feedback. But I guess maybe one of the benefits, and I think this is where every MSP should be thinking about, is how do you get more engaged deeper into the customer, organization. So it's one thing to have your point of contact, and your advocate, and maybe you're lobbying them a couple months for the renewal, whatever. But if you demonstrate that you're engaging deeper down into the organization, even if it's one response, two response a year from a handful of the existing, or the employees of that customer, that to me seems like you're building a deeper relationship with the customer. And I have to imagine there's some trend data, or you guys have some insights on the impact on renewals and just overall customer satisfaction, right?
Right. Yeah. I don't have, I mean, just have anecdotal comments from a bunch of clients or MSP owners. Like they love using the Simplesat data in their QBRs. And just like you're saying, because, one big problem MSPs have is their clients say, what have you been doing for me lately? Right. And then it's so frustrating for MSPs because when they're doing their job, then they're not working, But when you can show in a QBR, you could say, here's all the feedback that came in from your team, because maybe the owner who's in the QBR doesn't even know how many tickets that their team is creating, and here's the feedback that your team's leaving, and here's the scores, and here's how it's trending up and down. So yeah, it's great ammo. Maybe not ammo, but it's great material for a QBR, or just anything to help prove your value to your clients. Yeah.
Look, I think ammo is the right word, because it is. It's a battle out there, because
Yep.
it's a highly competitive market, and you have to fend off your competitors down the street. Especially as it gets more, more and more noisy, more and more complex. And so the more you can do to demonstrate, it's one thing to demonstrate it through delivery and service, but if you can back it up with, you've gotten, if you're doing that QBR and you're saying, look, these are the tickets, that's not just, how many we opened and resolved, but here's how thrilled, your employees are with what we're doing. And that makes it a hell of a lot easier conversation, at renewal time, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I love it, because I think you can go in so many different directions with this kind of platform. So what's next for you guys? What's on the roadmap for the next 12 months?
Yeah. So, and you're right. There's so much we can do. And it's so, like you were saying, how many features are in your backlog?
252.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, and it's crazy when you look at everything, and even if you look at 20 features or something, the one that you do last might be like 4 years from now. Like it's insane to think of it that way, but how important prioritization is in that way. But so we work in quarterly release cycles. We just released web embed surveys and event-based emails. So now you can trigger a survey email from an API request. So really great for e-commerce and types of companies, but also there's things you could do even like with ConnectWise or something. After you close a ticket, that could fire the email to send, and then there's more control over the email and suppression rules if you were to send it directly from ConnectWise or something. Current release, we're doing a huge push on security. We want to work towards our SOC 2 compliance. So we're working now on, and overall just kind of going enterprise and being able to support more enterprise types of features. So we're working on SSO, directory syncs, audit logs, better email verification. After that, in Q4, I think we're going to do a big focus on reporting. Reporting is an endless. You can never have good enough reporting, and always, it's hard to, yeah. And it's like, at some point I'm like, I don't want to just be a reporting tool, there's Bright Gauge and Tableau and all these other tools out there. But there's so much, just, I don't know, saved reports, scheduled reports, generating reports, custom dashboards, all that sort of thing. Yeah. And then
So
just,
you have a laundry list as well, and you get some
we
of these
do.
some big. Those are big ticket items there.
Yeah, it's endless. And then always integration work that we want to do. We've kind of the past year, we've been doing more of a long tail approach, and just, we have like 50 integrations now. But now it's kind of, okay, now let's go back and refocus on our main ones and really make them best. Like, let's just be the best solution for ConnectWise. Let's be the best solution for Zendesk or whatever it is. So yeah, but I like our kind of rhythm now, where we work in quarterly release cycles, and we don't choose what we're going to do until maybe like a month before the next release starts. So I mean, as the bigger we get, you kind of go, you start as like a small little dinghy, and then you turn into a cruise ship or something. It's harder to change course and stuff. But now I'm really enjoying. We have a small team. We have 6 developers, and we can be pretty agile with that sort of thing. So I don't know what we're going to do. So Q4 probably reporting, but I don't know Q1 2024 what it's going to be yet.
So it sounds like just with the directory syncs and integrations and reporting, it sounds like you've got your hands full for the next couple of quarters. But those are those are at least what we hear. It's all about integration. It's all about how do you make it interaction smooth between two applications, and then everyone wants slick, cool reporting.
Yep.
So I imagine that's that's always in demand.
Mm-hmm. And we're finding too that kind of with reporting, mainly just reporting and integrations. There's like, as I talk to more of our customers, and there's this concept, jobs to be done, and solving that problem, those jobs to be done. There's a lot of, we basically cover the basics of a customer feedback management platform at this point. But there's people who go into Simplesat every day or every week and create a report and download the CSV file and put it in some other system and create a PowerPoint and give it to their boss or whatever. And that's taking them hours every week or every month or whatever. So the same thing with integrations. People are hacking things together with Zapier, or having their own developers use their time to build an integration. So there's actually a lot of time, which turns into money, of course, that we can really save a business if we can take care of those things for them. So, and that's really good too, if we can, have these features that it's like obvious ROI if you use this scheduled reporting or this better reporting feature, because I just save someone a few hours a week or a month.
Yeah, and that adds up. And then you compound that with the other impacts you have on renewals, and as mentioned, kind of help desk efficiency and even morale. I think that this is a kind of a no-brainer value proposition. Look, this has been minus my little dropping off there for a minute, putting you on the spot. Apologies.
No problem.
Great conversation. Yeah, it's been a great conversation. So where can people learn more about what you guys are up to?
So simplesat.io, just Google Simplesat. If you want to learn more about me, you could just Google Cory Brown Simplesat. I think my LinkedIn profile would show up. Anyone can email me anytime, Cory@simplesat.io, CORY.
Yeah, well, I encourage everybody to jump on the site and look at the under about, and kind of I talk through the evolution and the pain points that you were trying to solve. And really interesting team picture in there. I think, is that you doing a push up?
Yeah, you saw that. So yeah, I don't know. We're in Thailand. There's Asian stuff, which is crazy, which I love it. But yeah, we're doing something crazy there.
Hey, that's all good, man. I think it's being unique and having personality, and this adds to the experience. So yeah, all good. Look, Cory, I appreciate you staying up late here, and again, apologies about our little snafu. We'll definitely edit that downtime out of the when we launched the podcast. But I'm a big fan. I think every MSP needs to be thinking about this and looking at solutions to help make their customer engagement that much stronger. And this is certainly the one of the leading ways, if not the leading way, is to do that. So well done to you on building such a great product.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Really happy to be here, and happy that you had us on. Yeah, it's great.
All good. All right. Well, appreciate it again. And, for folks turning in, we'll have some of the links in the show notes to the site, and definitely check them out. And until then, we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.